read. God went to war with Babel. He destroyed 2/3 of the civilization, confounded their language so they couldn't communicate, obliterated their unity, and scattered the remnant over all the earth. Now, the prophet Daniel tells us that right before the day of the Lord, we will experience the same thing. How do we know this? In Daniel 2, the prophet writes, "This fourth kingdom is a Peleg kingdom." Daniel used the word Peleg, which means divided. Now, this is significant because God is linking the name Peleg with a latter days dispersion. This means that at the very end of days, another alliance of nations will go to war against God. He will destroy it just like he did Babel, and that's when God's kingdom will be set up by Messiah for all eternity. So to sum this up here, this first 2,000 years was known by the sages as the era of desolation. But one godly man was born 48 years earlier, and his walk with God saved the world from total destruction. That man was Abraham, our forefather. The second 2,000-year era is referred to as the era of Torah, with Abraham as the leading patriarch. His descendants earned the privilege of being God's chosen people, whose charge was to teach the sovereignty of the one true God and how to follow his ways. The general consensus among the rabbis is that Abraham lived out the Torah even before Moses wrote it down, through divine inspiration of Holy Spirit. As I've mentioned before, Abraham's life was threatened several times by Nimrod, and at an early age he lived with Noah and Shem for 39 years, and they were the ones who taught him God's ways. Now, during this era, most of our biblical history took place. The nation of Israel was chosen to carry God's ways. The Torah was written. The tabernacle was built. Israel rose to its greatest height and influence under King David and then his son Solomon, and both temples were built. However, during this same period, the 4 great kingdoms of the world came to power as the prophet Daniel foretold: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome, who invaded Israel, destroyed the temple, and subjugated God's people all the way to the year 4000, which was the year that Jesus was crucified. So once again, this era began glorifying God, and it ended in destruction. Now, the kingdoms of Greece and Rome introduced a poisonous influence into the culture. It was known as Hellenism. It began under Alexander the Great, but exploded as a way of life under the Roman Empire, and it has never gone away. We see it today expressed in the mandates for political correctness, homosexuality and gay marriage, the blending of races and genders, and the rise of pedophilia. All of this is part of the Hellenistic culture, as well as the rise of anti-Semitism and the violent backlash against anybody who takes a stand for God and his ways. Now, to learn more about Hellenism, I'll provide links to my monograph and my 4-part podcast series on transgenderism, which is basically the face of 21st century Hellenism. A key event to note came at the very end of this second era. The Roman king Antiochus Epiphanes invaded Jerusalem and erected a statue of Zeus in God's temple. The priests had become corrupt. They were given power and money if they quit doing Judaism and live instead like Gentiles. And that caused great division in the Jewish people. And this is when the Maccabees, who were a family of priests, rose up and went to war to cleanse the temple from the defilement of Rome and rededicate it to God. There were horrible wars and persecutions during the final years of this era, which fulfilled prophecies, again, from the book of Daniel, who wrote that the same thing would happen leading up to the year 6000. The third and final era covers the 2000 period between the years 4000 and 6000 after creation. Now, obviously, we're not quite through this era yet, but we are close to the end. This period is known by the Jews as the era of Messiah. Now, remember, all throughout the 6,000 years, God has been establishing a place for him to dwell with his people. That was the plan. The first era, it was through the patriarchs. The second era was through the nation of Israel who guarded and taught the Torah. And now this third era is through the Holy Spirit who has written the law of God upon our hearts. So just as God looked to Abraham to fulfill the mission of creation during his era, so at the beginning of the year 4000, God looked to the followers of Messiah, both Jews and Gentiles, to become lights in the world through the work of the Holy Spirit. But sadly, the attack against the Gentile body of Messiah happened almost immediately and has not stopped. Its intent was to sever us completely from our Jewish roots. What we ended up with was two diametrically different religions, Judaism and Christianity. This was never God's desire. I want to share 6 highlights that show the onslaught of Hellenism against the new believers after Jesus' resurrection. Number 1, in the first century, Gentiles who became followers of Jesus practiced Judaism, and they taught others to do likewise. They were called the Way, and the group consisted of both Jews and Gentiles. Highlight number 2, in the Hellenistic culture, the early believers were pressured to choose Sunday as their day of worship instead of the Sabbath. The enemy has always attacked the Sabbath. Number 3, the pressure continued, and the messaging was changed to say that since Jesus rose again on Sunday, we should replace the Sabbath with Sunday. Number 4, the Sabbath became tolerated for a while along with Sunday worship. So Hellenism was trying to be politically correct and inclusive for a time. But in 321 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine issued an edict mandating that Christianity was to be the official state religion and Sunday was the official day of rest. This edict was an all-out attack on Judaism. And number 6, some 40 years later, in 365 AD, the Council of Laodicea mandated that Christians must work on the Sabbath and celebrate what they called the Lord's Day on Sunday. This council went so far as to write that if Christians honored the Sabbath, quote, let them be anathema from Christ, unquote. This was a curse. They declared that any Christian who honored the Sabbath would be cut off from Jesus altogether and basically be damned to hell. For almost 2,000 years, this Hellenistic influence has grown more and more and divided into 2 separate bodies, the Jewish people whom God loves, and Gentiles who accepted Jesus as the Messiah. These 2 groups should never have been split because both are beloved of the Father. Now, the seeds were sown in this third era, which led Christians to build a religious system of man-made traditions that left behind Judaism and the study of Torah. And that has caused irreparable damage in that many believers are missing a critical component to their spiritual foundation and preparation for these end times by rejecting everything Jewish. In like manner, devout Jews refuse to listen to anything Christians say because, as I mentioned in part 3, the word Christianity is synonymous to them with Esau and Rome, who have always been mortal enemies of Israel. So to wrap things up, I believe that history will show this third era will be known by 6 significant movements. The first movement will be global, with pressure put on nations and people to align and conform to this final kingdom. This is the climate change agenda as the new Tower of Babel. One people, one language, save the planet, with 5% of the elite compelled to control every resource on the planet and rule over the remaining 95%. Only those who comply to this kingdom will be allowed to exist. The second movement will be the growth of anti-Semitism as Rome and Esau continue to show their true colors in their hatred of Israel and Israel's God. The third movement will be an even greater falling away among Jews who want to be part of this global community. The lure of Hellenism will be, come and join us. Let's be one world, one people, one religion. The stage is then set for a third temple to be rebuilt. The Temple Institute states in their own literature that they are waiting for Messiah to come and lead the rebuilding. But the Messiah they are waiting for will be the false one. The fourth movement is a repeat of the invasion of the temple by Roman forces. I see that the mandates to vaccinate every person metaphorically fulfilled Daniel's prophecy in that something foreign invaded our bodily temples with the goal of defiling them and reducing the world population. In the time that we have remaining, I believe we'll see more plagues released, more vaccine mandates, and threats of quarantine camps for the non-compliant. The fifth movement will be the rise of the new Maccabees as a small group of godly believers who will refuse to bow the knee to government mandates. They will fight for God's people to be cleansed of defilement, and if the third temple is rebuilt and likewise defiled as before, they'll fight to cleanse it as well. And the sixth movement is something I'm very much a part of now, which is the release of the spirit of Elijah that the prophet Malachi said would come to call the children back to the fathers. I am at work every day, calling out to believers in Jesus to return to our Jewish roots. One of the most important monographs I have written is called Jewish Roots, God's Call to Reconnect. In it, I analyze the expression known as the body of Christ. And in this monograph, I examine this body and I ask readers, if Jesus is the head of the body of Christ, what is the spine? How you answer that question will determine how ready you are for the day of the Lord. I'll put a link to this monograph in the description notes to this episode. The prophet Daniel saw all this coming. He saw the danger these new Maccabees would face, opposing this new world order during the latter days. So I close with this word of encouragement from Daniel 11. The people who know their God shall stand firm and take action. And those among the people who are wise shall make many understand. To learn more, you'll find this episode and the entire series at candicelong.com/podcasts. In my online store, you'll find the 31-page monograph called The Final Kingdom. It's one of my most important writings and includes helpful graphics and charts, as well as links to all of my resources. I want to thank you so much for being with me today. I hope you join me again next time for Lessons in the Latter Days. God bless.
You've been listening to Lessons in the Latter Days, brought to you by Audeo Group, LLC. This program was pre-recorded.
Because no matter what, no matter where, you need the truth. And specifically, if you're listening from Newport Richey to St. Petersburg or from Tampa to the coast, you can get the answer on FM 93.7. Always on AM 860, online at theanswertampa.com. And depending on where you are, on FM 93.7.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-296-1564. 800-296-1564. 800-296-1564. That's 800-296-1564.
Join the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to help light the night and bring hope. Light the Night is a nationwide event that brings communities together to honor, remember, and celebrate those who've been afflicted by blood cancers. Join us on November 17th at Julian B. Lane Riverfront Park. Just visit lightthenight.org or text one word, Cure Tampa, to 39999 to support the global fight to end cancer. That's Cure Tampa as one word to 39999. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Be the light that cures cancer.
Tampa Bay's only conservative station, AM 860, The Answer, WGUL. You need to download the Answer Tampa app or listen online at theanswertampa.com. Tune in at Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. The Israel-Hamas war poses a political dilemma for President Biden as he seeks re-election.
Michigan Democrats have warned the White House that the president's response to the war could put his re-election campaign in jeopardy. The state holds the largest concentration of Arab Americans in the nation, and many in the community are upset with Mr. Biden's failure to support a ceasefire. Meanwhile, South Florida's Jewish community applauds the president's strong support of the Israeli offensive against Gaza. How Jewish voters perceive his handling of the Israel-Hamas war will be critical in the 2024 election. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All signs point to a relatively solid holiday season, but consumer disenchantment with their spending and their future finances could cut back, according to two new polls. This is SRN News. About 71% of Americans describe themselves as Christians, but one evangelical leader has his doubts. Dr. George Barna of the Cultural Research Center says if you look closely, you'll find something disturbing.
Most Americans have shifted from being committed to Christianity to being committed to some type of personal faith. And that faith is what we would call syncretism, which means that we're very comfortable picking and choosing elements from many different worldviews.
Barna's research reveals a kind of smorgasbord effect.
Now we pick and choose elements from secular humanism, postmodernism, Eastern mysticism, nihilism, Marxism.
His polls also indicate that committed Christians with a true biblical worldview probably make up only about 10% of the U.S. population. Barna says that's why America is in trouble. This is SRN News. An Arkansas man arrested after allegedly trying to crash through the exit gates of a South Carolina nuclear plant.
The Oconee County Sheriff's Office says Doyle Wayne Weisenhunt, taken into custody at an abandoned home in Pickens County, South Carolina. The 66-year-old Weisenhunt has now been charged with one count each of attempted murder, malicious injury to personal property, and unlawful entry into an enclosed place related to the incident at the Oconee Nuclear Station. Jason Walker reporting.
A diver who spotted something metallic not far from Sardinia's coast has led to the discovery of tens of thousands of ancient bronze coins. Italy's culture ministry says the diver alerted authorities, who sent other divers assigned to an art protection squad along with others from the ministry's undersea archaeology department. A lot of coins, not clear how many just yet. This is SRN News.
Portions of this hour have been pre-recorded for broadcast at this time.
Have you heard about International Diamond Center's 110% diamond upgrade guarantee? It's just another exclusive IDC promise to you. It works like this. When you buy any diamond at IDC and keep it for at least 1 year, we'll give you back 110% of your original purchase when you decide to upgrade to a larger stone. For example, you buy a diamond today for $5,000. When it's time to upgrade, IDC will give you $5,500 toward the new diamond. That's guaranteed 10% appreciation when you trade up. Think about it. IDC will give you more than you paid us for that first diamond. This is for any engagement ring center stone, as well as all diamond solitaire pendants and all diamond stud earrings. And it applies regardless of whether your original diamond costs $3,000 or $30,000. It's IDC's 110% diamond upgrade commitment with no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. Just another example of how we stand behind everything we sell. International Diamond Center. Get directions and store hours at shopidc.com.
Time is the ultimate luxury. I'm Dennis Prager. Fill your time beautifully at Corona Cigar Company. The entire Corona building is a humidor. 5,000 square feet of cigar smoking pleasure. Select from hundreds of open boxes of premium cigars, including Florida's sun-grown 20-acre farm. It's Tampa's quintessential cigar experience. 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard, minutes from TIA. When I'm in Tampa, I fill quality time at Corona Cigar Company.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour, only on AM 860, The Answer.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 81, then clear skies tonight, low 55. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high on Monday 83, then partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 62. Sunny to partly cloudy Tuesday, dry weather to get out the vote, high 84. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
The financial content, including all financial data, editorial content, and advertising provided on this program is intended for personal use and entertainment and does not constitute investment advice. Financial content that appears on this station does not mean this station endorses such content. In addition, this station makes no representation that financial information is accurate, complete, or timely. This station does not accept any liability for any investment decisions made on the basis of this information. It is strongly recommended you obtain professional advice before proceeding with any investment.
Welcome to the Prosperity Hour. Join host Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group as they guide you on your path to prosperity in retirement and life. Learn how to safely protect your money from market risk, creating your own pension-like income with their safe money strategies and implementing their tax-free plans. Call Greg or the team at 864-989-0176 or email Greg at mymoneyissafe.com. Visit mymoneyissafe.com and start now.
Good morning, folks. This is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group, and welcome to the Prosperity Hour. And today's show is titled The Greatest Safe Money Opportunity I've Ever Seen. And that is correct, folks. This is the greatest safe money opportunity I've ever seen. And what do I mean when I say this right now? You're seeing the market have, and I'm talking about the stock market, have tremendous amount of volatility. All right. A very strong amount of volatility. And the reality is that all of this volatility is creating uncertainty. You've got a war in Israel. You've got a war in Ukraine. You've got things brewing up all over the world. And isn't it funny that historically speaking, every time we've had a problem in terms of our economy, it seems to be preceded by a war. So, history it constantly repeats itself. It's often said that people who don't acknowledge their destiny or are destined to repeat its mistakes. So in other words, if we don't learn from our history, we're destined to repeat the mistakes of our history by not learning our history. And so, folks, right now, when I'm talking about a safe money opportunity, I am telling you that the strategies that we implement at the Prosperity Group are strategies where we use insurance vehicles to protect one's money. And right now, I would say that the average person in this market could make between 5 and 7%. And that's not a guaranteed rate. In some cases, it can be, but I'm saying on average, and some of these accounts, folks, can add anywhere from 16 to 45% into your account. Real money that's added to your accounts. And so I believe that although I don't like the inflation, It's relieved the pressure on the insurance companies to provide competitive rates in a low interest rate environment. So I just went to the grocery store last night to just get a few personal items. And, I looked at a stick of deodorant, $7.99 for a stick of deodorant. This is insane. So what's happening, folks, if you're not protecting your money, if you're not looking at safe money strategies to keep up with inflation, if you're not creating something that gives you an inflation-friendly increasing income or a pension-like income, you could be making a very grave mistake. And you've heard me talk about it on previous weeks that I believe we are heading to a major correction, if not even a depression. And I don't know if that's going to happen for sure. I don't have a crystal ball. But folks, I want you to stay tuned. You can reach us at 1-800-440-0434 or go to mymoneyissafe.com, 1-800-440-0434. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group, and today's show is titled The Greatest Safe Money Opportunity I've Ever Seen. Do you realize that right now we can put you in accounts that'll add a significant amount of cash into your accounts, anywhere from 25 to 45%? This is not a gimmick. It's not a mistake. I am telling you an opportunity that could change your financial life in retirement. Call us at 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com. Patty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Greg. We sure do miss you here. How are you?
Well, I am good. And, I'm suffering with 70-degree weather driving through here, so don't feel so bad for me.
I thought about you this morning, 32 degrees. Tonight, 29.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did I timed it again?
You did.
Really well.
You do have good timing. Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah, we've got some folks that I'm going to see in our Sarasota office, and I'll be back in Greenville on Monday. And also, we've got some brand new listeners in the Tampa area, and I want to say blessings to the people on Faith Talk that we're sharing the show with. And so, Patty, I'm talking about a safe money opportunity. And again, folks, you can reach us at 1-800-440-0434 or go to mymoneyissafe.com. So, Patty, when I'm talking about a safe money opportunity, obviously you know what I'm talking about. But what are your thoughts on it? Because, this is unprecedented to me. When the number one comment that people will make when they sit down and we explain this to them, they'll say, well, this is just too good to be true. Why isn't everybody doing it?
Exactly. And you say?
It isn't too good to be true because
No,
it's been working for people for years.
It has been working for people for years. And it's a wonderful way for clients to grow their money safely, like you said, plan for the future, and guarantee themselves a pension-like income.
Yeah.
And not only just a pension-like income, an increasing pension-like income.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly right. And I'm telling you, people right now, they need to protect their income because
absolutely. And one thing you mentioned, which is so true, is the volatility of the market. It may be up 30 points one day. We haven't had that in a long time. But then the bad thing is the next day it's down that much or more.
Well,
and
look, Patty,
we have clients come in and they're like, I can't believe it. I finally looked at my statement and I am they're either where they were years ago or they're below.
Well, I'm going to try to see if I can share on the screen on our Facebook Live. And folks, you can find us on Facebook Live. You can go to YouTube. Patty, I don't know if you have the call, the websites handy in front of you. If not, I'll look so that we can you can read it on air, where people can find us on YouTube as well as Facebook. We do a Facebook Live as we do the show right now, and I'm gonna point a screen. I'm gonna put a screen up as far as what the market has actually done.
Okay, and this is the time that I want to take that I tell a lot of clients when they meet with Greg is that you are sitting down with him for his financial knowledge, not for his technical abilities. So if it takes a minute for that to come up, remember why you like him.
Well, that's true. We don't want to go for technical advice here, just to be safe,
Elon Musk, his job is safe.
I'm not going to build the next Tesla car. That's why I bought one from him.
Exactly.
And bought his stock so I could get some of my money back.
Very good.
And
I have that sheet that I sent you. The Faith Talk Tampa.
right.
And their website is letstalkfaith.com. That's 570 AM, 100.3 FM, 910 AM, 102.1 FM, and 760 AM and 104.3 FM. So that's
Wonderful.
one place where they can find us is on letstalkfaith.com.
Awesome. So, folks, we've got a bunch of brand new listeners. Our show airs in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Sometimes it does air in Greenville, Seneca, but we're doing a lot of YouTube right now. Patty, we got about a minute and a half left. I believe this is an opportunity that people need to take. And one of the things that I realize is the fact that if somebody's planning on taking income and the market takes a correction, right, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. And that's a problem. And that's where people are hurting. I'm gonna share screen on our Facebook in a second just to show what we're talking about here. And it's crazy when you look at what's happening across the board here. You look at 1 year and, oh boy, 2009. I just went on and I saw an incline that looked just like it did. I'm going to share the screen here. And so, folks, you can reach us at 1-800-440-0434, 1-800-440-0434, or go to mymoneyissafe.com. I want you to stay tuned. I'm showing you charts right now of what the market has done since 2008. And it's crazy, Patty, how you see a steep incline. And I did a Kiplinger article yesterday, actually titled the same as the show, The Greatest Safe Money Opportunity I've Ever Seen. Patty, can you see the chart on the screen?
I can.
You see the incline after 2008? Okay, listen, we're out of time. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Attention retirees. This is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group. Have you been to the grocery store lately? I did yesterday, and I bought some personal items. Deodorant's $8. Gas is going to be $8, I believe. Well, how would you like an extra 25 to 45% into your retirement accounts? That is a possibility. If you want to learn how to do that, if you want to take advantage of an in-service rollover, call us at 800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com.
Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Are your deductibles too high? Or are you completely uninsured? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Healthcare Help Desk can help you now when people need help the most. Health insurance laws and rules have changed. If you have Obamacare, are uninsured, or your premiums are too high, call Healthcare Help Desk. It's free. New healthcare plans are available, and you may qualify for dental coverage and lower copays and deductibles. Make the free call now. Top quality coverage at the lowest prices anywhere. You may be paying too much and not even know it. In these troubled times, healthcare is more important than ever. Don't let another day go by without health insurance. Policies are being offered with very low copays and deductibles. So if you're uninsured, underinsured, or paying too much, call Healthcare Help Desk.
800-820-6058. 800-820-6058. 800-820-6058.
Join me, Mike Gallagher, my fellow Salem radio hosts, Dr. Sebastian Gorka and Dennis Prager, at Countdown to the Election 2024, happening Tuesday, November 14th at the T. Pepin's Hospitality Center in Tampa. Brace yourself for an engaging and thought-provoking conversation on the issues that truly matter, those pivotal topics that will shape this upcoming election. The night will also include a special guest appearance by Todd Saylor, who's the CEO of Wired Differently. VIP club members can get in for free with a special discount code. Just go to theanswertampa.com. That's theanswertampa.com and click on the VIP club tab. Remember the date, Tuesday, November 14th, and secure your spot now. Join us in person by visiting our website, theanswertampa.com. That's theanswertampa.com for election 2024. Brought to you by Wired Differently.
We get it. You're busy. You don't have time to waste on the mainstream media. That's why Salem News Channel is here. We have hosts worth watching, actually discussing the topics that matter. Andrew Wilkow, Dinesh D'Souza, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. We're not like the other guys. We're Salem News Channel. Watch anytime on any screen for free 24/7 at snc.tv and on Local Now, Channel 525.
Promised us that he would be a counselor, Almighty God, and the Prince of Peace. He promised us that he would be our Father, and he would love us with a love that would not cease.
Well, I tried him and I found his promises are true. He's everything he said that he would be. The finest words I know could not begin to tell just how much Jesus really means.
Ladies and gentlemen, the song that you heard is a song sung by my late wife, Marie Ellie, called Safe in the Harbor. And, you know, we want your money to be safe in the harbor right now because there is a safe money opportunity that I have not seen. And, you know, we get comments on Facebook. I've got Tom, a faithful listener, and he says, we have too many dumb things over the past 23 years. We haven't learned. We continue to spend into oblivion. We spend money we don't have and get into wars where we have no interest. So true, Tom. And this is some of the things that are happening, folks. I want you to look at something. I've got the chart. So for the benefit of our listeners, I'm showing a visual. You can go to Facebook. You can go to Prosperity Group at Facebook. You can also find our YouTube channel, which is My Money is Safe at YouTube, or at My Money is Safe on YouTube, or Prosperity Group Advisors on YouTube. And we do a lot of videos, and you can watch some of these videos, and I believe they're very helpful. Patty, you look at the market, isn't it interesting? Since 2008, you looked at cycles prior to 2008, the market corrected every 4 or 5 years. And then look at what happened after 2008. You see a steady incline. And then since the new administration has gone in, it's been flat. You can see that on that chart that I'm showing. But people have asked, and we've asked people, what do you think drove the market up? And I'm surprised it's not that many people that really know the answer. I really believe it's all the QE money that the government has put into the economy. They've artificially inseminated the economy to the fact that, we're not making any money.
It's actually frightening if you think about it.
Well, Patty, look at this chart right here I'm looking at. So, folks, what I'm looking at is a 2-year return on the Dow Jones, and it is down 10%, which is pretty much the S&P. So it's down 10%. And then you look at it, it was down even lower, during COVID when the market went down to 19,000. Do you remember, Patty, we had a conversation with a client and he thought we were crazy that we said the market could go down to 19,000. He thought he'd never go down, but I reminded him of the story of Irving Baxter. Do you remember that name, Patty? Irving Baxter, for lack of a better term, was the Dr. Fauci of economics. He told everybody that the market would never go down. Do you know when he told that, Patty? In 1929, about 2 months before the Great Depression. Now, let me tell you, he was the laughingstock. People didn't like him. He kind of disappeared on the face of the planet for a while. He had death threats. I mean, this was bad. And do you know what happened to him 25 years later? He got the Nobel Peace Prize in economics.
Wow.
So is justice blind, or what can we say? So I'm not picking on Dr. Fauci, although I will reserve my opinion for another day when we talk about.
I was going to say there's a first time for everything.
Pandemics and finances. But the reality is that this is a crazy time that we see. You look at the 2-year, look at the volatility on the 2-year. So for the benefit of our listeners, you can go to Facebook, you can watch this. Matthew, thanks for joining us right now. Look at the volatility in 2 years. Now, I'm going to switch to 1-year view. Again, for the benefit of our radio listeners, we're flat. We are basically flat. In the 1 year, I take that back. We are up about an eighth of a point, okay? So we haven't had a lot of growth. And then year to date, the market is down. So the market is slightly down. And that's just because we've had 2 days of gains. So maybe we're back to a bull market, Patty. And, we were talking about this off the air. Do you realize, Patty, that a bear market runs 25% longer than a bull market? So that means if we're looking at a 12-year bull run, we might be looking at a 18 to 20-year bear run. I hope not, but that's a very good possibility.
So what you're saying is if you feel confident in the market and you have 18 to 20 years to make up any loss, then that's exactly where you should be.
Yeah, you got 18 to 20 years. All our 65-year-olds that need to start taking income at 67, yeah, they got 18 years, right? 18 years, that makes them 83 years old. So,
wow.
Look at the market. I'm putting it again for the benefit of our listeners. You can go to Facebook and look at this. But I'm looking at the market since 1995. And you look at a correlation, and I'm going to bring something else up. If I go back to look at the market where it was at before, do you realize I believe what started driving the market up like it did was a repercussion of when we went off the gold standard. So if you look at all of the gains, and then since 2008, now if you look at 2008, you see this steep incline that occurred until COVID. And you see this incline right here. And I'm telling you, most of the experts, Peter Schiff and people like that, are saying we are heading towards a very low market that's going to take place. And so what we're talking about, we're not trying to fear people into, I'm trying to get people to be realistic right now. Look at history. This isn't a fear tactic. This is telling people what history has said. You decide what you do with history. Okay. We think that something like the Holocaust could never happen. And you got people saying that. And yet you look at some of the sentiment that's happened since the war has unfolded in Israel right now. It's crazy. What's taking place right now? The reality is you cannot expect that everything is hunky-dory, that everything is hunky-dory, because it's not. And if people don't take the position to protect their money right now, I think they're making a grave mistake.
You're absolutely right, Greg. And which is why I think you turned your focus to helping retirees. And how long have you been focusing on the retirees, Greg?
Pretty much since I retired being a tennis pro. So I used to teach retirees on the tennis court too sometimes, but since 1990. So what are we're going into the 34th year. So I've just finished my 33rd year in August of doing this.
Right.
And I'll tell you something, Patty. I was talking to a 94-year-old man, and we talked about how this is the weirdest period that he's ever experienced. And here's a man that was around during World War II. He was around that, he's a child during the Great Depression. And he's telling me that, he agrees with me that this is the weirdest period of time I've ever seen. And so, Patty, the last time after the Depression, there was a war. And
right.
And the people are saber rattling right now.
And we first went off the gold standard, and we started leaving it was in 1933.
Yeah.
That's when we started.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah,
so,
that's when it started. But Nixon, remember what Nixon did in 1978?
1978. Okay.
1978.
I thought it was a little earlier.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yes.
No, they wanted to do it earlier. They wanted to do it earlier because, see, now that you got the Federal Reserve, think about this. If I can raise the interest rates a point or a half a point or a quarter point, I wonder if anybody, well, now there's no insider trading going on. Nobody has advanced knowledge of these things. Golly, I'm going to invest in cattle futures and make $100,000. Maybe I'll invest $1,000. What do you think, Patty?
I think that would, I don't want to know what I think. When is the Fed supposed to come out with, isn't it today?
Today. They're going to be talking about it today. Now, remember, I felt they were going to try to stimulate the market by dropping it a quarter point or something. If they did that, the market would go up. Let's see what happens. If they don't stimulate it in any way, shape, or form, I think this is being done on purpose, which I think it is being done on purpose, actually. So it's crazy when you look at all of this that's going on.
One thing I like to do is I like to take the titles of your show and I like to Google them and just see what the normal or what the norm expectation is for that topic. So if you Google safe money strategies, what do you think they say?
CDs.
Of course.
Yeah.
CDs, treasuries, bonds.
Right. Treasuries. Well, treasuries are the safest things. Do you know that's what Susie Orman has invested in? She doesn't invest in mutual funds. She invests. I wonder if Kramer invests in CDs. No, probably not. But it's a crazy thing.
But the bad thing, well, not the bad. Well, it is a bad thing because then you have the risk of interest rate risk because you're not going to make anything.
No, you're not. And there's a lot of interest rate risk with bonds right now. And
which is why that bonus that we're able to give is so nice. Well, and on top of that, we do have some nice fixed rates within the strategy, as well as some nice indexing strategies.
No, that's so true. And folks, I want to finish the last segment. We got about a minute left of this segment. Is this right now? If you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, if you have money and you are very concerned about the volatility and the risk in the market, we can show you how to create an inflation-friendly increasing income, a pension-like income. And so these are opportunities that you can take to further your money, your retirement. If you are not taking advantage of an in-service rollover, and Patty, I'm so surprised because people can do this at 59 and a half. We're meeting with 62 and 64-year-olds that still have money in the 401k. They've never done an in-service rollover. And you know the reason why, Patty? It's because they got greedy because the market was going up and now people are hanging onto hope. And what did we say about a year ago? We said, don't sit around and lose money. Don't sit around and lose money. Patty, we're gonna go off the air and not off the air. This segment ends in about 8 seconds. So stay tuned, folks. Call us at 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com. I'll be right back. Attention retirees, this is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group. Folks, we're talking today about safe money opportunities. Right now, this is not a mistake. You can add 25 to 45% into your retirement accounts, real money, and have enhanced interest rates. This is a safe money opportunity that I've never seen in my career. Protect your 401k, protect your IRA. Let me help you do this. Call us at 800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.com, 93.7 FM, W229DJ at 8, by downloading the Answer Tampa app or on TuneIn or Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian demonstrators calling for a halt to Israel's efforts to subdue Hamas in Gaza have marched in Washington, Paris, Berlin, and other European cities. In the U.S., thousands of mostly young people lined downtown streets yesterday and unfurled an enormous Palestinian flag. Many held banners with slogans such as, "In November, we remember," criticizing President Biden for his support of Israel. Federal regulators will review the use of a chemical found in tires after a petition from Native American tribes in California and Washington state The tribes say that the preservative 6-PPD should be banned because it kills salmon. As they return to their streams to spawn, the chemical is added to virtually every vehicle tire as a rubber preservative in this country. This is SRN News.
Because no matter what, no matter where, you need the truth. And specifically, if you're listening from Newport Richey to St. Petersburg or from Tampa to the coast, you can get the answer on FM 93.7, always on AM 860, online at theanswertampa.com, and depending on where you are, on FM 93.7. The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour, only on AM 860, The Answer.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 81, then clear skies tonight, low 55. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high on Monday 83, then partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 62. Sunny to partly cloudy Tuesday, dry weather to get out to vote, high 84. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
Attention retirees, this is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group. Folks, we're talking today about safe money opportunities. Right now, this is not a mistake. You can add 25 to 45% into your retirement accounts, real money, and have enhanced interest rates. This is a safe money opportunity that I've never seen in my career. Protect your 401k, protect your IRA. Let me help you do this. Call us at 800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com.
You look good there for a second, Doc.
Can you hear me okay?
Say again, please.
Can you hear me, buddy?
Oh, I hear you great now. You're sounding good.
All right. Yeah, I had to make sure that my face was beautiful, which it is.
It's the shirt I like today. Nice and pink.
Yeah. We'll be on soon. What time is it? I'm all confused with this time change.
My clock says 8:35.
All right. Well, I will talk to you in a few minutes, my friend.
8:36 now. Talk to you about 10:15. I got to get some air.
Bye.
Welcome back, listeners. And you heard a song from Donna Summers. She works hard for her money. And I believe that everybody that's listening to us works hard for their money. And, you know, I'm going to bring something back. I'm going to bring a quote, okay? Warren Buffett's #1 rule of money: never lose money. Patty, do you know what rule number 2 is?
No, I don't.
See rule number 1. That's true. That's his quote. That's what Warren Buffett said: never lose money. And we had conversations with people. I said, hey, you're going to lose money unless you do something about it. Some people listened, some didn't. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. You know, I keep thinking of our 84-year-old clients that decided that, you know, a market's life for me. What's that song? Yo ho, yo ho. No, that's A Pirate's Life for Me.
A Pirate's Life for Me.
Yeah, I'm going to change it to A Market's Life for Me. You know, yo ho, a market's life for me. It goes up and down all around. We'll just start creating our own songs here to try to get the message across, because right now, you know, and I'm not kidding, Patty. I went to the store yesterday. I was appalled at what I'm seeing. And that's not even being discussed by the media. It's not being discussed. I think it's unconscionable that this stuff is not being discussed because, you know, it's crazy.
What I think is horrible is when mainstream, because I mean, you have said this for a long time, but now I'm hearing it out amongst just the general population that if you want to hear the news, you do not listen to the news channels that come from the US.
Not anymore. I mean, I get good information from BBC.
Right. Exactly. And that to me, that is just so sad.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. It is sad. And the reality is we used to have very, very good very, very good media. We really did. And Walter Cronkite, Huntley Brinkley, these people were well respected, I mean, I listen to MSNBC sometimes and I get sick to my stomach because it's propaganda, CNN propaganda, and even Fox's propaganda. It's just more right propaganda. It's all propaganda. We're being told how to think. We're not being given the information to think for ourselves. We're being told how to think. And so I agree with you, Patty. I don't like being told how to think. I want to think for myself.
I like to be informed.
Yes.
But you want the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the truth is, I mean, the CDs, the story, and it's not like a story, but the story of your uncle with the CDs.
Oh, I know. And I actually hate talking about that right now, but the reality, I mean, I hate to bring it up, but he's not around to even say anything about it, but he had won a major settlement. I mean, I shared the story on a previous show. He got hit by a truck going 70 miles an hour. The driver had highway hypnosis, driving cement. He had always had a premonition never to wear a seatbelt. Really kind of weird. He didn't wear a seatbelt. Because he didn't wear a seatbelt, the windshield popped out. He flew out, landed on snow, fresh snow, saved his life. Then they said he'd never walk. He'd be paralyzed. The only thing he wasn't able to do anymore was golf, but he lived till he was 90 years old. Well, when I first got in this business in 1990, after I retired being a tennis pro, I went and talked to him and I said, Uncle, I can get you a guaranteed 10 years at 12%. He said, Greg, I'm getting 14.6% or whatever it was, 14% on my CD. No, 17% on my CD. And, I don't take any risk. I said, Uncle, this isn't any risk. We talked about FDIC. Go to FDIC.gov and look at the bank insurance fund, how much money is backing that $250,000. You'll be surprised. Listen to previous shows. We've talked about it. Well, do you know what happened to my uncle, Patty? Because he paid tax on that CD the entire time, he had a tax leak in his finances for the rest of his life. So that's the problem with CDs right now. You pay taxes whether you use the money or not. People that shop interest rates get burned. You've got to shop sound financial strategies, how to defer taxes correctly, how to rescue your IRA correctly. Somebody can have $1 million IRA and that's a blessing. That's a great thing. But if they don't have a tax strategy to rescue that tax, they could see that shrink. Patty,
or how to even create a tax-free income stream.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. There's a book that was written by a gentleman named Patrick Kelly, and he wrote a story about Bill. And it was a story of his parents that retired with $1 million. By the time it was all settled and clear, he got $200,000 from his parents. That's all he got from the $1 million, because most of it went to long-term care and it got eaten up in taxes. And that's where he started talking about the tax-free strategies. Amazing.
Absolutely. So not only can we take the IRAs and the 401ks and do rollovers and in-service rollovers and transfers, we can also take the non-qualified funds and make them either tax deferred or give the clients tax-free income as well.
Yeah. Patty, let's face it. I'll take tax-free over tax deferred anytime.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's going to become even more and more prevalent and important for us to put in part of our, strategic planning in the future.
Well, it's part of our prosperity plan, folks. Prosperity plan, the 7 steps to a more prosperous retirement. And the reality, that's our book that's coming out. And by the way, folks, you can get our no compromise retirement book. And it's No Compromise Retirement. I did the forward on it. Marty Ruby wrote the actual book with his daughter, Becky Swansberg. And it talks about how to rescue your money from taxes and how, I mean, you know, we talk about this at seminars, how taxes can really have an impact on your money, how they can have an impact on your money. And that's crucial, Patty. It is crucial
Absolutely.
that we have the right tax strategy. That's for sure.
Absolutely. There are two ways you can grow your wealth. You can make more and you can spend less. So if you're at that point to where you will stop making income, that you're looking at retirement and your income is going to slow down, that's how we can show you to spend less. Spending less would be making it tax-free.
You know what another
Because
component
you're
to
not
that?
paying the taxes.
You're absolutely right. And tax-free is huge right now because look, when I was just talking about the grocery store, and we got about 2 minutes left on this, but for a retiree, can you imagine right now,
No.
the average retiree is getting chewed up and spit out by inflation. And what
Right.
people don't realize is that inflation is a tax. It's another way of taxing people. And because things are overpriced, they're overvalued. These big companies, these big corporations, they're making their profit. You notice that with Obamacare, okay? When Obamacare came out, well, we can keep our doctors, all of this stuff that we were told. Right now, health insurance is a mess in this country, especially if you're not 65 years old. It is a mess. I can tell you that because I just got shafted by a very well-known company that goes by a certain color. And they decided not to pay my surgery because they told me they emailed me something that they didn't. And I called them to verify that I had coverage. So I had to pay for my hip surgery and my knee surgery out of pocket. Now, I'm very fortunate I had the cash to pay $40,000. But something told me to keep my faith-based. And now I'm filing my faith-based and which is my faith-based insurance, which I've never filed a claim on, but I'm filing a claim now to try to recoup some of that money. But Patty, this was a company I thought was reputable, the company that goes by a certain color, and it's not green. And it's horrible. They're crooks. They are crooks. I'm just laying it on the line. So folks, listen, we are almost out of time. You can reach us at 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com. Folks, protect your 401k and learn how to have 25 to 45% in it right away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
$1 million home, riding down the winding road. Fast cars, familiar faces, yet I feel so alone. Silver and gold I have got, running till I'm about to drop. Here today and gone tomorrow. All it's brought me is grief and sorrow. I need you. I need you. Jesus, I need you. I need you. I need you. What will it take to make me see?
Well, Patty, the song that we heard right there is a song called I Need You, written by Marie and myself about, goodness gracious, 33 years ago. And we wrote it right around the time I got into the financial business. I didn't even realize that when I was saying that. So, you know, it's crazy when you see what's going on. Patty, what do you think of all of this? I mean, right now, people are, I'm going to just say very bluntly, people are in la la land. What I mean by that, people have a false expectation right now.
It does surprise me. People that I think are knowledgeable and informed are surprised when they hear that there's trouble in the market. There's trouble here. There's trouble there. Why are they surprised?
I have no idea unless we're living in denial.
Or they've gotten so conditioned to what you talked about, the government support, keep continually propping up the market.
Yeah.
And we're continually, but we can only do that for so long.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure, Patty. It's because it's over and over that these things happen. And people are not facing reality. It's just it's like people telling us they never read their statements, Patty.
I know that it's the and I hate to use this phrase because I learned that they don't really do that. The ostrich burying its head in the sand, they don't actually do that. So now I hate to say that, but anyway, it's that adage where you just put on blinders. You don't look at it. That if you don't see it, it means it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not the case.
Patty, I told this story, you talk about an ostrich with his head in the sand, but I was with my kids driving in Greer, South Carolina, Greer. And we drove by this farm where they had emus, lemurs, all sorts of exotic animals. And this truck driver drove by and blew the horn. And the ostrich, which looked like he was about 8 foot tall, really tall ostrich, started doing cartwheels and backflips. And he did that for 10 minutes. And the truck driver knew that he was doing that because he came back, because we were there about 30 minutes watching the ostrich do all of these gymnastics. Then he came back and blew it again, and the ostrich started all over again. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. But anyway, you mentioned ostrich, so I chased a squirrel there. So
yeah, you did.
But sticking your head in the sand like the ostrich does not work with finances. It doesn't work with your retirement account. I mean, that's a mistake if people are not doing that. They're not protecting their money.
It's so funny. When we do get the clients that come over and they're used to watching, the ones that do watch it all the time, once you do put it in our plans, you can do that because it's not going to lose money.
Yeah, they're not. They're not losing it. What did we say? Zero's my hero.
Zero is my hero. And, our goal is to sit down with the client and make their dreams and their goals happen.
That's exactly right. We want to make sure, the second phase after the safe money plan, which is step number 1 of the prosperity plan, step number 2 is what is your income plan. And when we talk about taking somebody's 401k or IRA and literally creating their own personal type of pension, it's not a pension in a legal sense. It's actually better than a pension because it's portable and it can be passed on to your kids. Most pensions do away at the death of the second spouse. And this is a way to take your 401k or IRA, insure. Notice I use the term insure, and make sure that people have a pension-like income that they can't outlive, that their money is safe. And I believe that's crucial. Absolutely crucial.
I agree. And it's one of my favorite things that we do. I like that we're able to do that for the clients. I love the fact that we are able to create wealth for legacy,
Right.
tax-free wealth.
Right.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things we do. And we would not be able to do it at all if we did not use the strategies that we use.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I mean, I think of clients that I had in 2008 didn't lose a dime. They did not lose a dime. And you know, I'm curious to see what the rumblings of the feds are, you know, right now. The market's up. So right now they're trying to influence the Fed to you know, say something good. We'll see how the market ends today. It's up 171 points. Woo, we've had 3 days of gains. So that's great, you know, like to see that. But I still, again, in looking what's taking place around the country, around the world, I don't feel short-term optimistic unless something drastically changes with our policies and with the Fed's policies right now, because whatever he's done, whatever Jerome Powell has done, is not doing anything for inflation. And the administration's not even giving it an ounce. They want freebies. This is the problem. They want to give us money. They want to loan us our money back. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Patty, we loan the government money and they charge us interest for loaning them money. And then we got to pay them back because we got to come up with more money to pay back the debt that they've created by borrowing our money. What is wrong with this system?
Who came up with this system?
Oh boy. There's a ancient country called Babylon. Do you remember that country?
Yes.
Babylon. That's what we're under. We're under the Babylonian financial system. Did you realize that? If we followed God's system, which is a 7-year, a jubilee year where you forgive all the debt, then you would not create economic slavery. See, the problem with the Babylonian system, it creates economic slavery. In fact, that's what runs the world. It's the wealth in the hands of a few, where the majority, build bricks. And guess what? Now we're being told to build bricks with no straw. Does that sound familiar?
From a childhood, right?
Well, that's what happened in the Exodus. That's what happened. Pharaoh told the Israeli slaves, the Hebrew slaves, he said, you're going to build bricks with no straw. Why? To give them a hard time, to make them remember their slavery. And I mean, look at this. They're still fighting. 4,000 years later, they're still fighting. We still have a family feud in the Middle East. And we know that it won't go away, not permanently, until Christ returns. But that's what's happening. And literally, that's the financial system we're under, Patty. If you think about it, when George W. Bush changed the bankruptcy rules, where you can't discharge debt, that was an extension of a Babylonian system. See, the Bible teaches debt forgiveness every 7 years. Okay, all the debts are wiped out. Guess what? The world would be a better place if we followed that plan, because then all of the countries would not be indentured servants to each other. See, that's the problem right now, is this type of system is a system that fails. And then when you look at the fiat currencies, there's been 4,200.
Hi, yes, sir. What can I do for you? Are you ready to go? Are you there? Where'd you go, Doc?
Things going. And so the dictators would keep the people happy by having live animal and gladiator games, and the people would say thumbs up, thumbs down. Kind of sounds like social media. It makes you feel like you have power you don't have. because the Roman centurions could have turned on the people right away if they didn't like it. And that eventually is what happened. But that's the system that we're under right now. And they use the term democracy. If we go into a democracy, guess what that descends into? It descends into mob rule.
Hey, Doc, not hearing you. You still there?
Social media is now. It's a form of mob rule. But the problem with social media is it doesn't have that much purpose. Well, the purpose is money. It's to advertise. It's to create advertising platforms. That way you get a bunch of people on there giving their opinions about stuff that they think. Really
I'm here. Do you hear me?
It has zero impact. I don't even get on the political discussions online because it's stupid. It doesn't achieve it.
Doc, you hear me at all?
There's no winner. There's no loser. I'm too competitive for that. If I'm going to have a conversation and spend my time, I want to make my point, right? I don't want to sit there and just throw it into the air and it has no substance, because then we're not advancing. So anyway, that's my take on that. Pat?
Well, you're in good company. Fortune has an article out, and billionaire investor Bill Ackman says that humanity is on a rapid path to oblivion.
Wow.
Right. And he says that it's happening through social media.
I agree. We got about 30 seconds left.
And I
want you to expand on that for a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear you though. What the
It
heck
is happening through social media. Social media, I think, may be the greatest problem that society has faced and that I've ever seen.
How about now? Does that help?
Why you need to keep putting out the YouTube, and we need to try to put positive things on the social media.
We are going to try to put a positive twist on things. Listen, Patty, thank you so much for joining me. Folks, God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning into Prosperity Hour. God bless you.
I got a feeling that
I really want to thank everyone that tunes into our show on a regular basis. We have a bunch of new listeners.
Doc, any better?
Got established listeners in the Greenville area. Please give us a call.
Yeah,
folks.
I hear you now.
440.
Okay, terrific. We're coming up on the news here.
You protect your retirement.
What'd you do? Hit a
Create
button?
Like income.
All right, now that should be better for you. You can hear me okay, right?
Yeah. What'd you do? Hit the wrong button again?
I have no idea. I have no idea what happened. It just came back all by itself.
Hey, Ken, what is that show about, that financial show? I haven't heard them really say anything of what to do other than just talk about their business. Is there a point to that show?
Not that I know of, Doc.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, because I haven't heard them say anything other than we will help you build wealth, and the government's bad and that kind of stuff.
I wasn't even listening, to tell you the truth.
Just wondering. All right. Well, we're getting ready here.
Yeah, we're coming up on the news. Because we've been having trouble with the music, I'm going to cue you over the over your headphones.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just tell you when to start talking.
You got it. And we're live streaming now, so I'll throw some video in there as soon as I hear the weather.
And when the weather stops, you'll hear silence until I tell you to go.
All right, buddy.
IDC owner Keith LeClaire explains how IDC is always on the cutting edge because we partner with the world's leading designers, names like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dossi, and dozens more.
Fashions come and go, but why do some brands stay forever? It's because they stay relevant.
IDC was chosen by these acclaimed designers, in most cases, as the exclusive retail partner in the region.
We try to provide the best of the best at the most current merchandise in the market today.
International Diamond Center, giving you access to the most sought-after brands in the world with a 5-star shopping experience with no compromises.
We want people to feel comfortable, relax, educate them, give them high quality for the right price.
Store hours and more at shopidc.com.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour, only on AM 860, The Answer.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 81, then clear skies tonight, low 55. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high on Monday 83, then partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 62. Sunny to partly cloudy Tuesday, dry weather to get out the vote, high 84. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
Go, Doc.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD, and we're doing a show. I got Ken by my side as usual, and we are having a good time. We've been chit-chatting a little bit, and I was trying to figure out what the show was about, the financial show that's on before me now. We lost the Mr. Green Thumb, huh?
Looks like, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone.
Retired, I guess. Yeah.
Retired.
Good run. Yeah, good run.
Yeah, he had a good run. He's nice
Yeah.
guy. I met him and his son at the station. They're nice people. So actress Brooke Shield had a grand mal seizure, and she attributed this to drinking too much water. Now she's in her late 50s. And
what's it called?
Grand mal seizure. That's, when you get the shaking and jerking and you lose consciousness and you foam at the mouth.
Okay. No, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, grand mal. That means really bad. Grand is big and mal is bad, big and bad. So there's different kinds of seizures, grand mal, petit mals, absence seizures. You can even have seizures where you smell funny odors or hear things or have sensations and but still retain consciousness. So, but at any rate, this water imbibing that so many people do as they read all this nonsense on the internet about staying hydrated. It's a problem because as people get older, the thermo and the osmoreceptors in the brain, they change and they don't work as well as they did when we were young. So osmolality is basically the amount of salt to water in your bloodstream. That's the main determinant of osmolality, along with some proteins and sugar and a few other things. But so what happens is you lose that ability to maintain your osmolar balance, and so people start drinking tons of water. I'm drinking water because it's good for you, and I don't think that's the right approach. I think that you should drink the amount that you need to make it through the day, and that's not really much, Ken. That's 3 or 4 glasses. And if you're drinking coffee and tea and you're eating watermelon, I mean, basically you're getting water there. So, but it's something that I try to educate my patients about because a lot of them, as you know, are older, and that becomes a real problem. And they can dilute their sodium in their bloodstream down. You don't actually have less sodium in your bloodstream. You just have relatively more water. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're actually saying here is drink when you're thirsty.
Yeah, drink when you're thirsty. And if you think you're dehydrated, if you've been outside and you've been sweating and working and, swinging your sledgehammer and breaking up the driveway or whatever, then you should have something with a little electrolyte in it. So sweat is basically 1/4 the amount of electrolytes in your bloodstream. So that's why Gatorade and all these products are so popular, because they actually replace what you have lost. And that's the way to do it, not to go in and drink water after you've been outside sweating. That's going to for older people in particular, that's going to dilute down the sodium. So let me put it like this. Let's say you have a gallon of water and a half gallon of water, and you put an ounce of salt in each one and shake it up, and then you measure it in the lab. Well, the gallon jug's going to have 1 ounce per gallon, but the half gallon jug is going to have how much? 2 ounces per gallon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you can think of it in the reverse as if you had normally 2 ounces per gallon, and then you diluted it down with more water in the system. You haven't really lost any salt. You've just added more water, and that can become a problem because it can cause seizures, it can cause muscle tremors, it can cause loss of consciousness, and if it's really severe, it can even cause death. We rarely see that from water imbibing, but we do see it occasionally in people with other diseases like kidney disease, where they can't get rid of their water load. So you have hormones that actually work on the kidney to get rid of water or hang on to salt or both or neither, and it's a fine balance, and that we don't want to interfere with too much, especially as we get older. So that's my little homily on.
And I know there's some weight loss programs. In fact, I was on one where they required you to drink like 7 glasses of water a day. Is that something that was harmful at the time and should be avoided?
It depends. Now, as long as your thermo and osmoreceptors in your brain are working properly, the osmoreceptors are the ones that manage the salt water balance in your bloodstream, and you're releasing the hormones appropriately, then you can usually get rid of the excess water that you drink. And you probably peed a lot when you were doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So your kidneys were working, but as you get older, you lose that ability to control the salt water balance. The osmoreceptors just don't work like they used to when you were younger.
So it's all about your age, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, infants and old farts. So
okay,
that's the. Well, I mean, come on, that's true.
yeah.
So just use some common sense, folks, when you're rehydrating, as they say. Oh, I'm rehydrating. I'm drinking, 2 gallons of water a day. Well, I'm not sure that that's hydration, because water is not volume in your bloodstream, Ken. It is not volume. Volume is salt in water or red blood cells, packed red blood cells. That'll give you some volume, or certain proteins, which will add volume to your system. But salt and water are the main components of the volume in our bloodstream. That's what makes it, not water. And people say, well, I needed volume, so I drank water. Well, that ain't going to give you volume, buddy boy. I'll guarantee you. Any rate.
The internet advice is going to kill us all eventually, I think.
I had 3 cases of Google cancer come in this week. It was
Google
terrible.
cancer, huh?
Google cancer.
I haven't heard that phrase yet.
There's no cure for it, and they never die. So it's very worrisome, Yeah, Google cancer, it's a bad one.
I'll bet that makes you frustrated. Yeah.
Well, they suffer so much for so many years, and then they die of a heart attack.
What else is going on, Doc?
Well, in Italy now, the Vesuvius. Remember Mount Vesuvius?
Sure, know it well.
Naples, and
been to Pompeii.
Yeah, buried Pompeii and Herculaneum. Well, now there's another one about 20, 30 miles east of Naples, in a little town of 500,000 or so, Pozzoli, Italy. And so diners at a restaurant ran out when another earth-shaking rumble happened, and there's fear that the volcano that is there is going to erupt. So these people they're in the shadow of a huge monster volcano that is still active, but how badly it's going to erupt, nobody knows. And there's several super volcanoes in the world. One of them, by the way, is Yellowstone Park. Did you know that?
That's a caldera, actually.
It's a volcanic caldera.
If it ever goes off, it's all over, folks.
Well, the thing about the park there is you can get people out, but how are you going to get 500,000 people out of the path of a spewing volcano in southeastern southwestern Italy. My bad. Naples is on the west coast. Beautiful town, cute area. Love that area.
Naples is nice. I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they're literally and figuratively shaking in their boots.
Well, I would be too. I'd probably be moving right now.
Yeah, I think that it might not be a bad idea to get the puck out of Dodge.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
And so that's a problem for that part of Italy. We hope that they work it out. Meanwhile, back in Ukraine, there's a little village right on the border with Russia, and the Russians hit a cafe there, targeting civilians, of course, and killed about a quarter of the town. And so the town was originally part of the Ukraine. Russians got it. Now Ukraine has it back. And so the Ukrainians are looking at their neighbors because they think it's an inside job.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So that's
I guess he hit another ship over there overnight.
Yeah, we heard that. And I guess we're helping them out. And Biden announced some new aid for security assistance for the Ukrainians. It's not a lot, 125 to 300 million, but I think it's a statement that because there's a lot of criticism that Israel is detracting from the Ukrainian war effort and our willingness to help them. By the way, the Europeans are helping them, and I don't blame Zelensky for saying, don't give up on us and don't focus solely on Israel because we need your help too. And I agree, they do need our help. I don't know what the administration is going to do. Did they ever get any jet fighters over there?
They're still waiting.
Why?
They're still training these guys to fly them. That's what we've been hearing. They're not quite trained yet, but maybe by the end of the year. So.
Well, I mean, are they pilots or are they?
Yeah, they're regular pilots in the Ukrainian Air Force, and they just had to be trained on the F-16. I guess it takes about a year to do that. I don't know.
Well, why did they give them a Game Boy or a Nintendo and let them practice on that?
They probably do have them. I bet they do have them on their home computers where they can work on.
Yeah, they must.
Yeah, I'm sure they're there.
Do they have computers in the Ukraine? I guess they do.
I think they have a few. And we know they have drones because they're being very successful with their drones.
Oh, yeah. I wonder where they're getting them.
They're making them.
They're making them themselves?
Yes, they're making them themselves.
Cool beans, man.
These little boats and everything they're drinking out there and blowing up ships with. Amazing.
It is.
We all thought this war was going to last, what, a week? Maybe a month?
Well, I think the wild card here is the Ukrainians. I mean, they are much tougher and more resilient than any of us thought.
No kidding. Yeah. I figured it'd be about a month tops. That'll have been it. But go, boys, go. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But you're right. Europeans are helping a lot.
Yeah. And I've met several Ukrainians over the years, and there's some big boys. There's some tall
brutal guy. Yeah.
They look like they could hold their own. I told you we did that skydiving on the cruise. It's not really skydiving; it's a wind tunnel that blows up, and so you feel like you're skydiving because you're off the ground and being buffeted by wind. And the guy that was instructing us was a Ukrainian, and I said, "Dude, why aren't you at home killing Russians?" He just ignored me. I guess he's a pacifist.
Maybe he did his time and he left the country after that.
He may have.
Anyway, want to talk about it,
So here's the latest from the lunchroom and from the office. Jews are arming themselves. Andrew, the young pain management doctor who's now in the office a few days a week, and my friend David, who is a lunch buddy, he's a family practitioner. They're both going to get guns and taking gun classes now. And we were talking about the anti-Semitic movement in the United States. And I think there's a real fear that it's going to become violent. And certainly the amount of hate crimes that are going on in the country are largely aimed at and have always been aimed at Jews. And, I carry a pistol, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
And can I get it out in time to defend myself? I don't know, but I'll sure go down.
You'll certainly try. Yes.
I'll try. I'll give it the old college effort. These are guys who have never handled a gun, who are basically pacifists, and they're saying they're worried now. And I don't blame them. I think that the Jewish side of the family in the United States, anyway, is too long gone on with this left-wing pacifist, socialist, internationalist outlook, and I think they're rethinking that now, Ken. I think they're rethinking that, and of course, Biden's in a bind because he's losing his far left support over the Israeli situation. And he's going to lose money from the Jewish side of the family too, because they're not going to put up with this crap. I mean, eventually they're going to start saying, no, we're not going to give you any money for your campaign. And, Jews have funded the Democrats for decades now.
Eons, yes, that's right.
And now the tribe is awakening. Hopefully the tribe is awakening, and they're starting to see these guys for what they are, that they pander to anti-Semites and anti-Americans and communists. And, I don't care what you say. Communism is a bad thing. Anti-Semitism is a bad thing. And Islam has got to undergo some kind of reformation, because it's just a terrible, terrible religion that teaches people to hate and kill. I mean, that's not a religion. That's a cult.
Yeah.
I don't know how you stop that. And my friend Andrew, he actually went to a medical school in Israel. And when he was a student, they went on ambulance runs, as you know. We were supposed to do that in our medical school. I think I've got somebody to sign a piece of paper, because I don't want to go in no stinking ambulance. Now, if you pull up with a limo,
there you go.
There you go. That's my ride. At any rate. And so he went over to Gaza because a woman was having a stroke, and they went to pick her up. And, a lot of the critical care that is provided for the Palestinians is performed in Israeli hospitals. Did you know that?
I did not. No.
Yeah. So, the next level up is, Palestinians may have just a general hospital, but for more specialized intensive care like cardiac and stroke and all that, you go to Israel. So at any rate, so he went in, and they were checking on this woman, and there was a kid, school-age kid, and the kid had a booklet there from their school, and he opened it up, and you know what he saw? A Jew with horns and fangs, right out of the Nazi playbook, right out.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, this is what these kids are learning. And how are you going to stop the the hatred when this is going on?
You can't.
You cannot do it. You have to put an end to this. So the Gaza needs to be occupied. That's all there is to it. Hamas needs to be defeated, and the Gaza needs to be occupied. And if you don't want Israel to do it, then get somebody else. But go in there, make these kids go to school, make them learn to read and write and arithmetic, and do all the things that normal kids should be doing, and not to hate. It's got to stop. That's my rant.
And it was a good one, but I don't know how you solve the problem, It really, because that's great. That's what we need to do. But getting there is a whole nother kettle of worms,
Well, I think there has to be a political will to do it and resolve. And, Biden's going to have to choose. Does he want to lose the far left, which is really not that big of a part of the pool for him? And if he does lose the far left, he'll probably hang on to more of the middle. Or does he want to lose the Jewish vote and the Jewish money, which is only a very small percentage of the Democratic Party, but it's been a very vociferous and a very active and a very powerful part of the Democratic Party for decades now. And we've had Jewish senators and Jewish congressmen. We've got, I think that the vice president's husband is a Jew. And so we've got people that are in power we even have Jews on the Supreme Court, or we did. I don't know if we still have any. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was Jewish. So the Jews, for a small percentage of the population, have had a tremendous impact on the country, on the politics. And if you look at the list of Nobel Prize winners, you know, the Jews have, I mean, it's unbelievable. Somebody showed me a list. It's like 40 or 50 different Jewish guys and gals have won Nobel Prizes.
That doesn't surprise me, actually. It doesn't.
No. And you know how many Muslims have won? I mean, it's like you can count it on two hands.
I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, you want to kill all the Jews, but you want health care. You want a rule of law. You want banks. I mean, you know, how are you going to have all this without the brain trust of the Jewish community? You can't. It won't work. So we have brought a lot to the table, and I say we because, you know, I'm a half breed, but still I count myself in with the tribe. They don't want me, but I like them.
Well, presidents in this country, going back to World War II, dictates that we support Israel.
And did you know that George Washington personally met with Jewish immigrants early on in the history of our republic, and welcomed them with open arms, and said, you know, you have been wandering, and you have now found a home, and we welcome you. George Washington in the 1790s. Not bad, huh?
You can't get more American than that.
No.
But that's what this country was back then and still is today in many ways. You know, give us your wretched, what's it say on the Statue of Liberty there?
You're poor and you're
right, exactly.
And you're smelly. I mean, any rate, so you know, my grandparents, they were immigrants from Europe. My mother's parents were Polish, and my mother's father was a coal miner. And my mother truly is the daughter of a coal miner who made great in her life, became a doctor, and contributed to society, and was active on presidential councils and state and county health care for the indigent and the poor.
That's the great American dream. You know, you come here with nothing and you make yourself a life.
Now, the Jewish side of the family, my father's father, he actually left his wife, and my father blamed him for all of his life, for all of his problems throughout his life. And my grandfather on my dad's side, he actually ended up doing a little time because he was running a little scheme, a little fraud deal with some of the cops, and they were fixing tickets and getting a little kickback on the side. And I told one of my Jewish friends that, and he said, "Oh, a businessman. That's good." And that is, I mean, you know, at least he had some insight into the business world.
My grandfather came here in 22, and my grandmother about the same time. He came from Germany. She came from Poland. Grandpa was a farmer. The difference between then and today is my grandfather came through not Ellis Island, but they had two different entry points back then. If you were sponsored, and he did, he had a job and he had a place to live, all set up for him already. You got to go in through like an express area in New York City ports. Everybody else went to Ellis Island, where they, you know, gave you the full physical and sent you back if you had any terrible diseases, things like that. So that's the difference today. It was controlled back then. It was very controlled on who got in and who didn't get in. And that's what we need more of today.
Well, that's true. Coming in from the East Coast and also from the West Coast, you know, we had laws that limited the number of Chinese and Japanese that could come in the 19th century, because there was a great fear that the cheap labor market would destroy the economy, and so there was a lot of animosity towards the Orientals coming in. But the one border that was not closed and was very porous was the border with Quebec.
Oh, sure.
And there's a lot of people in New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont and up in that area that they trace their roots back to the French Canadians, the Arcadians, because their families went back and forth, and some stayed here and some went back. And But fascinating. It's fascinating to see how all this works.
But my grandfather on my dad's side actually emigrated from Poland to Canada and then just walked into the U.S.
That's the way to do it.
He just walked in. He said, I just walked in and got a job and eventually got a driver's license and all that stuff. And I was an American as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. And people are still doing that, Ken. They're still walking across the border. I mean, it's a huge border and it's largely unprotected. I mean, you can walk across in any number of places.
Especially out of Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, out of Canada. That's what I'm talking about, because that's our northern border is with Canada, which a lot of people don't know. That big country north of us is called Canada.
It's cold up there and a little snowy, but
yeah,
a lot of people live there.
No, yeah, they're nice people.
They're very nice people. Yeah,
pushing 40 million, mostly immigrants that are growing the population because they're at a zero growth, just like most of the Western countries. At any rate, so after the war in Israel is over with Hamas, what's going to happen to Gaza? That's the big question. And of course, the United States wants one thing and the Israelis want another. The Israelis see this as an existential threat. They want to completely eliminate Hamas and basically implement their own ruling body. And I think they're talking with the Palestinian government that was there before Hamas took over. But the Palestinians have been taught that this is just a proxy government of the Israelis, and they don't trust them. So we've got that to sort out. Did you know there's over 300 miles of tunnels so far that they've discovered?
300 miles?
300 miles. They call it the Gaza Metro. And you know, they're bombing, and then people are coming out and they're saying sinkholes open up because the bombs go deep enough to disrupt the tunnels, and then the tunnels cave in, and so there are sinkholes opening up in the Gaza after the Israelis get done bombing those areas. It's a fascinating situation, and one that I hope will be resolved quickly.
Do you think anything the UN could do for us?
Nah, the UN have already condemned Israel as committing genocide. Come on, give me a break.
I know, it's just a thought.
It's just, you know, politicizing all of this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, the UN is kind of useless, and it has been from
you know, but the politicians love it. They want to hang on to it. They want to stay in it. Democrats and Republicans. They think that at least you have a dialogue that can go on. And I guess it's also an intelligence gathering instrument, because you can see all your spy buddies there from different countries and kind of rub shoulders and catch up on what the latest weaponry is and who's going where and when is China going to invade Taiwan and that kind of stuff. But it makes no sense to me.
It seems like it did work for a while, like in the Korean era. Korean War era, it seemed like it worked much better than it does now.
No,
but I was pretty young, so
we were still in a proxy war with Russia and China. Actually,
yeah,
we were actually fighting Chinese.
Yes, we were. Yeah,
we were.
All right. Well, let's get rid of it.
Let's get rid of it. Okay,
it's on prime property in New York. Let's sell that.
You know, we could put up a really nice high rise. It's a nice view of the river there.
Oh, it's a gorgeous place. Yeah.
We could get Trump to build something, and we could sell those units for $4 or $5 million
easily. Just off in Manhattan. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, it's time for coffee and a question.
Oh my goodness. Oh, a question. I haven't even thought about a question. You got a question? I don't even have a question this morning. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I've got a question. What did Brooke Shields have from drinking too much water? What medical problem did she have from drinking too much water? That's a good question.
We talked about that at the very top of the show. So if you remember, if you're going to describe the circumstances, I won't make them come up with the exact name of it. But
no, they don't have it. You can,
just tell me what she did. Right.
Yeah,
just tell me what she did.
Yeah. And 877-969-8600. Is that our number?
That is correct. 877-969-8600. This is for Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. And the first correct answer will win. Again, that number is 877-969-8600. Are you ready, Doc? Say goodbye for a while.
I'm ready to say goodbye. I'm at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. I'll be right back.
And sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical Home of Can Care Clinic offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour, only on AM 860, The Answer.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 81, then clear skies tonight, low 55. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high on Monday 83, then partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 62. Sunny to partly cloudy Tuesday, dry weather to get out the vote, high 84. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
Yeah, go Doc.
Yeah, and I'm back. This is Dr. Bill. I got Ken with me, and I've got the Buddha behind me for those who are watching the live stream on YouTube or Facebook. That's a Buddha statue from a Buddhist temple that we were in Singapore. Really nice. Do you see that, kid?
I can, yes, absolutely. Yeah, like 14 hands there. What do you have? A lot of hands behind you.
A lot of hands.
How many hands on that?
Let's
see. 1, 2, 3, 4 at least.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
maybe that's not a Buddhist temple. Maybe that's a Hindu temple, because
you can get a lot of work done around the house like that.
Yeah, you get and you can bless a lot of people too. So I told you about the Buddhist priest in the subway in Seoul, South Korea, when I was there.
I think you mentioned something about that. Yeah.
And he turned to me. I was sitting there watching him beat his drum and his tambourine and give blessings and collect a little money. And he turned to me and said, "You like Bushy?" George Bush. I said, "Yeah, I like Bushy." He went through every president from Truman forward. He hated every Democrat and loved every Republican.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
It's our kind of guy.
My kind of guy.
Do you like Bushy?
You like Bushy? Yeah, I like Bushy.
You know who I like?
Who?
Bob Boshin.
All right.
Bob actually, it's Boshin. Bob Boshin.
Boshin. Hey,
Of Safety Harbor, Florida, is our winner. Bob knew that I forgot who was it now. Which actress was it?
Brooke Shields.
Brooke Shields had a problem with the what, Doc?
She had a grand mal seizure, an epileptic seizure from supposedly drinking too much water and diluting down the sodium in her bloodstream. So there you go.
And Bob, you won too. Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. Be coming to you in the mail in a few weeks, I'll bet.
Yeah, I got to get back on that. I've been tardy. I've been late on getting the mugs out. I'll do that this weekend. I'll finish that up today, guys. So hang it.
Thanks everybody who tried to call in.
Yeah, and thank everybody. And I really love you guys and appreciate you being with me on the show. It really does mean a lot to me. I feel like I'm with the people. You know what I mean, Ken?
We're a nice little Sunday morning family here.
Yeah. So meanwhile, the Hamburg airport in Germany remains closed as police deal with a hostage situation. So some Turkish guy who doesn't even speak German, he kidnapped his kid, his 4-year-old, and drove to the airport, crashed through the gates, and he's under the wing of a jet plane somewhere at the airport. And they're trying to negotiate with him to let the 4-year-old go. And it's a Turkish Airlines plane, by the way. So I guess he chose what he knew best. And that's going on now. I don't know if they resolved it yet, but that when I woke up this morning, that was in the news.
I hadn't heard about that one yet.
Yep, and that's
what does he think? How's that going to end? How do you start this and think it's going to end? It's going to be okay. We'll just get on a plane.
I do not know. I do not. And first of all, it's just not worth fighting over the kids. Just back off and let the women have. And secondly, you got to be a little bit crazy to crash through the airport gate and hide under a wing of a plane.
Yeah, especially with a 4-year-old that you supposedly love so much. Yes.
Well, you love them so much, you got to kill them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Family annihilators. Yeah. This guy's probably a little crazy. And, but the lesson here is for the Germans is watch out what you wish for. And you wanted all these Eastern European workers to come in to help you out.
There you go.
There you go. Now you got problems, buddy boy. Now you got problems. And then
whole world going nuts, Doc.
Well, we're not.
Yeah, this is an island of sanity here.
This is it. If you want to know what normal is, now you have to realize that the bell-shaped curve takes in all the beings of the universe. Ken and I are at the very apex, right in the dead center of that curve.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much.
Could have gone either way.
It could have, but and we actually have had verification from some exoplanets that have beamed us some messages and said, you guys really are the coolest and the best, and we love you. So we have listeners from all over the universe, which makes me feel good.
Well, doing radio, you are sort of immortal,
You are. Because
it just keeps on going. That's right.
Keeps on going, just keeps going. And
somewhere somebody could put up an antenna out in the Andromeda Galaxy and be watching the first episode of Lucy.
There you go. And probably enjoying it too.
Man, it has to be a big antenna, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, if you're in the Andromeda, you might have a big one.
It's true.
I mean, antenna, that is.
Right.
Okay, so now up in Pennsylvania, we've got Heather Pressdee, Pressdee, 41, of Natrona Heights, allegedly admitted to trying to end the lives of 19 nursing home patients. I think she got 2 knocked off. She felt sorry for them and wanted to.
Really? Did she check with them first? I mean, yeah. The only thing you might want to ask about first.
Yeah. Is it okay if I kill you?
Yeah, I'm feeling sorry for you. You mind if I just Put you out of my misery, would you?
Knock it off and get rid of it. You don't need to be around anyway. Plus, I have to take care of your sorry butt and clean you up and change your diapers.
Oh, she's just trying to lighten the load. I see. Okay.
So I don't think it worked very well for her because she's now been arrested.
Well, man.
So she knocked off 2 and 17 more. And she really does have a pleasant smile, a little bit on the chubby side. Yeah. And she's got, bleach blonde hair. I can't see if there are any tattoos, and we didn't get the arms, just a head.
Anything more nefarious like that? Did she have them sign over their trust funds or something like that?
She probably tried. I'm guessing
that as long as you're going,
if they were at a nursing home where she was working, I'm guessing that this was fairly indigent population. She was.
All right. Well, that's sad. Sad for the victims. She should get whatever's coming her way.
Live forever, but that doesn't give anybody the right to decide when and when I don't go. I think that is something between Mother Nature and me. And,
absolutely. I hope Mother Nature never takes you.
Well, she's going to get me eventually. She tried a couple of weeks ago, but I beat her again. Yeah, Joe Death was at the door, and I said, "Get lost," and he ran. He's scared of me.
That's right. You.
I'm Dr. Bill.
Angel of Death. Don't mess with you.
Don't mess with me, baby. So I really believe this, Ken, that suffering is part of life. It doesn't mean that we have to suffer all the time. It doesn't mean that we can't have relief from suffering with pain medications or antidepressants or whatever, or hugs and kisses. But I think that without suffering, we really do not progress. We really cannot grow. And I think that death is one of those events that we need to go through naturally. It's not a religious thing for me. It's just 45 years of practicing medicine and seeing people and watching them and seeing how they develop and seeing how families handle death too. I think that you got to let people have the opportunity to see the process and let go of their loved ones. And I think that when we help people through that, when they have a loved one who is dying and we allow that person to go through the process and allow the family to hold hands and grieve and say their goodbyes, you have a much better outcome for the family. Now you're going to be dead either way. So,
yeah, but it's marginally easier, probably. I've never experienced this the other way, but than having somebody killed in an auto accident who you just, said goodbye to 20 minutes ago.
That's always difficult because it's so sudden. And,
exactly. There was no goodbye.
And there was no goodbye. And life is short. You never know what's going to happen. You never know. I mean, any one of us can walk out the door and get run over by a bus. But it's not that common anymore. We're much safer, healthier, better organized society. At least we were until the recent past.
Yep.
Looks like we're going downhill again, but hopefully we'll pull ourselves back up.
I have faith in America.
I have faith in America too, but not a lot of Americans. I love humanity, but it's people. I just can't.
Can't stand them. I know.
I can't stand them. So
dogs are nice. I like the dogs we have.
Yep.
I like the dogs.
Well, it reminds me of that, Mom, that comedy show.
Yeah, sure.
They moved into a house in one episode that had been the scene of a mass murder by a guy that was dressed up in a fisherman's outfit, and they're talking. They say he killed everybody. Yeah, and the dog too. And the dog. Oh,
I know.
The people who care, the dog.
You can blow away 30 people, but kill one dog.
Oh my God!
And people go nuts. Yeah. No, I love the dog videos. I love sitting around watching dog videos on the internet. They're just endlessly interesting animals to me.
You know what I like is I like that show At the Zoo. Have you watched that?
I have not watched At the Zoo. It's a PBS thing, or
it's on the Animal channel.
Oh, Animal Planet. Okay.
Animal Planet.
What
So
zoo do they cover? Just zoos all over the world, kind of thing.
they do a lot of the Bronx Zoo, and of course they do the zoo that in Australia that the crocodile hunter. What was his name?
Oh,
his wife and he got speared by a
fish.
manta ray.
Yeah,
right through the chest. Ouch.
Right. Yeah, I got his name. Yeah.
Yeah. At any rate, his son and his well, they have started a big zoo in Australia, and they're taking in all kinds of animals. So it's interesting to see, and you get to see a little bit of the veterinary work that goes on. Kind of makes me think about medical school.
You want to switch over to vets? You want to be a vet?
I've taken care of dogs.
Have you really?
Yeah. I've diagnosed and treated dogs. I told you we had the standard poodles, Ty and Tiffany, and Ty was rambunctious, and he ran out in the road and got whacked by a car. And he was so wiry though, and so flexible that he really didn't get hurt. But we took him to the doggy emergency room on I think on 22nd Avenue near 34th Street here in St. Pete. And there was a young, newly graduated vet, and she said she wanted to take x-rays. And I went, what the hell, let her take some x-rays. She takes x-rays, and she put the x-ray up, and she said, look, I think he's got a fracture here, here, and here. And I said, honey bunny, those are the normal joint spaces between the ribs and the spine. Oh, I didn't know. She said, can we keep him overnight? I said, nah, we'll take him home. We can handle it.
You can't have him, no.
But we took care of that dog. Their skin is so loose that you don't even have to start an IV. You can just inject a liter of fluid under their skin. It's called hypodermoclesis. And it's an old time treatment. My mother used to give that to the pediatric kids when they couldn't get an IV started. They'd give them saline. Here we are back to the saline thing again. Mm-hmm. Get volume in these kids who had diarrhea and were dehydrated. And you can do the same with a dog. You can inject 1 or 2 liters, or you can even just put an IV right into their subcutaneous fat and turn it on, and they'll absorb that over a period of several hours.
Well, they're very lovable. They have had many dogs and never been disappointed in any of them. Some have been smarter than others, but you take what you can get, I got one right now that he's been coming to the back door, same house for 3 years now almost, and he still doesn't realize that the door opens from the other side. He'll go to the left side of the door instead of the right side, but the door opens from the right. And for like 10 times a day, 2 years, he hasn't figured out he should be standing over on the right side of the door instead of the left side of the door.
Obviously not a poodle.
I don't know what this thing is. It's a mutt, but he is not the brightest. He's great at security. He barks at anything that moves, so that was always nice.
Yep, that's a good thing to have. Now, our male poodle, he never met anybody he didn't like, dog, human, anybody. He'd go to the dog park, and some dog would try and pick a fight with him, and he was laughing and jumping around. Finally, the other dog's like, damn, this guy's not going to play, is he?
I answered my dog one afternoon. Doorbell rang, and full bark, growling. I had him by the collar, opened the door. It was an ADT man trying to sell me an alarm. He looked at me. He looked at the dog. You really don't need this. I said, no, I don't think so. Thanks.
Good to have. Good to have a watchdog. Yeah, we had a doggy door, and the female Tiffany, she knew what it was for, but she was always afraid to go through it. And so I had to keep pushing her through it. The only time she'd go running through it is when the male Ty went out first, and she had to keep up with him and keep an eye on him. She would not let that poor dog out of her sight. She was worse than my wife. I'm telling you, she was a nag.
So did the other dog passed away?
Yeah, they both passed away a few years ago.
Yeah, well.
She had leukemia, acute leukemia, and he drowned in the pool.
How sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
I thought all dogs could swim.
I don't know. He apparently My wife says she thinks that Tiffany was calling to him. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to end the show on a bummer now. See what I did? See what I done?
No, well, let's pick it up. Now, higher interest rates, apparently some people think it's going to be good for the economy.
Who's saying that? Why would they say that? What's the logic there?
Well, I think the interest rate projections that keep inflation down and also gives investors an opportunity to buy treasury notes, which are paying fairly well. I think you can get up to 10% on some of them, depending on the length of them. The short terms are 4.5% to 5% now. And although that's not going to keep up with inflation, if you get a 10% bond for a year or two, that's not bad money.
Yeah.
That's not bad money, and that can help out.
But it's also hurting the housing industry right now.
Yep.
Credit card interest rates are way up, so it's hurting a lot of people.
Yeah, it's hurting a lot of people. But by the same token, it's cooled down the real estate market, which was really out of control there for a while. And the Fed,
it's cooling inflation in general, I think.
Yeah, and
starting to. Yeah.
Well, it's trying to. You know, the Fed wants it down to 2% inflationary rate. 2.5% would probably be acceptable, but they're shooting for 2%. And
well, they got a ways to go then.
Yeah, they got a ways to go. So we're going to see high interest rates for a while, I think. And a higher neutral rate would come with a lot of benefits, according to some of the pundits. So we are basically having a soft landing, and as the economy cools down, the Fed can cut rates, which will heat it back up. But we haven't had the predicted recession yet, Ken, which is a pleasant surprise. And
people aren't losing jobs by the thousands, so
no,
that's good. That's all good stuff. I'll put up with the high interest rates if we can keep the soft landing, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have been able to engineer, or at least the Fed has been able to engineer it. Not the regime in power, but the Federal Reserve Board. They're the engineers they're the technicians of the economy, not the president. You know, you have monetary and fiscal sides of the economy, and one is the Federal Reserve, and they determine how much money and interest rates and all that are out there. And the other side is Congress and the president, who pass laws and try to make it fit into a budget that makes sense to them and that we can justify on our balance sheet, so we don't look like we're broke when we go out to the world to do business.
Well, the good thing is that they're independent, so they really aren't. They are not really influenced by any political aspirations at all. It's all numbers with them. So
it's all numbers, and also forecasting and looking at history and trying to get these computers to give them some insight into what to do and say.
But they'll come down eventually. They always do.
They do. So we have this New York Times writer resigns over a letter accusing Israel of genocide. She worked for the New York Times Magazine. Her name is Jasmine Hughes, and Jasmine is Black, and she said that the Israelis are committing genocide, which I haven't seen any evidence of that yet. And meanwhile, Obama's calling for the end of occupation and security for Israel and a state for the Palestinians. We've been hearing this since what?
Yeah, that's what
Jimmy Carter?
More earlier than that.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on since the British divided Israel and Palestine in two, or I guess into three, actually, because you got the West Bank.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's no help at all. Thanks, Brock.
And I mean, he along with Carter and Clinton, they are truly the engineers of this mess over there. Carter,
especially Clinton, though.
No, Carter, he's the one who walked away from the Shah, and that put the whole area into chaos.
Well, that's true. He did kind of start it there, didn't he? Yeah.
Yep. And remember hugging Yasser Arafat?
Yeah.
Peace Accords.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy's a Nazi. You're hugging a Nazi. You're hugging somebody who wants to kill me.
But it looked good on television there, Doc.
It did, but it didn't get him a second term. Now, did it?
No, it didn't. There was no way he was getting a second term.
So at any rate, you've got these magazines up in New York that are largely editorial boards made up of Jews, and you got somebody saying the Jews are committing genocide, and there should be from the river to the sea, it should all be Palestinian. Well, how do you do that? Well, you kill all the Jews. That's how you do it. That's simple. I mean,
there you go. Problem solved. Yeah.
Problem solved. Then we're gone. And then where do the Palestinians go when they need health care, loans, engineers? I mean,
and we will answer all those questions next week because Doc, you got about 30 seconds left. You want to give me you want to give the phone number, the business, and all that?
I am Dr. Bill, your radio MD, and we are at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete. We have telemedicine, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411, full service clinic. Come and see me. I'm out here, buddy boy. Love you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Listening to Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Join Dr. Bill every Sunday morning at 9 for more insight, information, provocation, and fun. Dr. Bill Handelman practices in St. Petersburg, Florida at Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic, 6399 38th Avenue North. For your convenience, telemedicine appointments are available. Call his office today at 727-384-6411. That's 727-384-6411. Or visit his website at cancareclinic.com.